Here we go, yo. Here we go.
Oh, this
Here
is
we
bad.
go, yo.
That just
Here we
felt
go.
weird when I did
Here
it
we
like
go,
that.
yo. Here
Do
we
another
go.
take.
Here we
No,
go,
this is
yo.
another bad
Here we
one. What am
go.
I doing?
Here we
Oh
go,
my
yo. Here
goodness.
we
You know
go.
what? That's okay.
Here
That's
we
okay.
go,
We
yo.
got this.
Here we
Just gotta
go.
shake off the
Here we
cobwebs.
go,
That's
yo.
all.
Here we
Okay.
go. Pick it up, yo. Pick it up.
I think I'm
Pick it
ready
up.
now.
Back on the scene, crispy and clean. Back on the scene, crispy.
Now on Rated G.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new solo edition to the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, G. Dirado. For those of you who have been here before, welcome back and thank you for your continued support. And for everyone else who is brand new here to the podcast, welcome to the show. Here on this platform, I like to sit down, talk about all things art and creativity. I like to just share my thoughts and ideas and also share insights on, just what it's like being being an artist, being a creative entrepreneur, just a creator in general, and just all the ups and downs on this this journey, this path that we've taken. And also I like to reach out to aspiring artists and creators too. So so that's what we do here. Forgive I'm super rusty because it's been 2 months, so we're gonna get into that later. But that's what this podcast is. We sit down and we share our just our journey in the arts, our backgrounds, just like everything art and creativity. And I do frequently feature other local artists, crafters, musicians, performers, all types of people, whether I've known them for some time or I'm just meeting them and having a first time conversation with them. And I try to use this platform to help just promote and market all of these people. I try to look out for the little guy or gal or they. So yeah, that's what we do here. We sit down, we like to I like to shoot the shit too. So we really, it's like a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of dips and turns and all that, and I try to make it fun and just comfortable. So yeah, that's a long rant there. But if you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy podcasts in general, maybe you're an artist or just some type of creative person, this might be for you. So if that is the case, please be sure to follow, subscribe, share with a friend who might be in the same field or position, just another creative person or just someone who's open-minded to this type of content. And be sure to ring that notification bell. That way you can keep up with all the current uploads, okay? Especially if you are watching on YouTube. I do post other content like art event vlogs, right? Video blogs, the podcast, of course, and I also like to share, just clips and time-lapse videos of my art creative process when I'm working on, whether it's commissions or just, my own private pieces. So yeah, I'm trying to stay on top of with my uploads on YouTube and build my audience here. So yeah, I think I got everything out. Oh, also, I provide links in the episode description. So if you want to follow me on social media, you can find all the links in there in the description at Art of G Torado. I almost just messed up my handle. But yeah. Okay, let's keep rolling because super rusty. I don't know if it's obvious, but I am trying to I'm trying to shake off this cobwebs. Like every time I think about it, 2 months, right? It's been about 2 months, and I don't know, it doesn't sound that long, but man, when I'm just now, every time I take a step closer into getting back on the mic, I'm just damn, it's been a long time. And So I'm trying to find my groove, all right? I'm trying to find my rhythm and get back to my flow state. So if this is kind of cringy having to witness this, I apologize, and I totally understand if you dip out before we really get into what I want to discuss. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna say it. No, I'm sure it's no hard feelings. Okay, all right, we don't like to. I don't I don't believe in that haterade. Okay, I'm just feeling the air right now. Okay, we're about 5 minutes in right now. Okay. So yeah, of course, right? I try not to prepare too much for my podcast, but if I'm being honest, I I do require some notes. All right, some notes because I do love to just free flow, but sometimes I need some pointers on like not pointers, but I need notes to keep me in line. So yeah, this is basically because as I said, it's been 2 months. So this is kind of like me just catching up with the audience, especially, and that's the thing. I really don't know where my audience lies. Like I know of like a few of my friends that like peep in and will catch an episode or two here and there, uh, during commutes and stuff. So I get that. I knew of one person that was sort of listening regularly. So yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. So this is one of the things that happens. If you're new here, this is one of the things that happens. I just because I'm so long-winded, I will lose track, and thus bringing us back to the notes. Bam. Anyway, yeah, so 2 months, it's long. And I definitely naturally underestimated like the sort of the pod rust. Right? I've talked about that once before, pod rust. So that's exactly what this is what you're witnessing right now. Okay. Um, so yeah, the last 2 months. Now, why did I decide to take a break? Um, well, it's a few things. Let's see. Damn, I'm trying to think how can I make this sort of long story short. Um, but I'm just kind of, I'm speaking, assuming that whoever is catching this right now is a new audience member. So just to kind of really make this a quick one, almost 3 years ago, my wife and I, we moved from northern New Jersey to Richmond, Virginia. So the last couple of years, I've just been reestablishing myself, my LLC, and just kind of rebuilding my business. And it's been tough. And aside from the business aspect of it, that the social aspect has also been tough. And don't get me wrong, I've been networking and befriending a lot of the local talent here in Richmond. But I'm searching for a much more I'm searching for closer friends. Like I would like to have a tribe of my own, people that I can look up to, and just like people I can rely on. And I think it's slowly building. That's, I guess, like there was a lot of things I did not anticipate when I should have. So it's very for me at least, it's like very slowly coming together. And I don't know, I just don't have the patience right now. I'm just so eager. um but there have been a lot of ups, so I have to remember keep thinking about those things. But yeah, the couple months ago I was going through some friendship adversity. There were a couple people that I had been becoming friendly with, uh, you know, been talking to regularly and stuff, and just as time was going on, just it had been revealed that you know, because of our differences, our point of views on things, it just it had to end there. It's unfortunate because it was I felt these interactions I was having you know were just was just building on an actual friendship. Like I've been like questioning, like, because of just how dominant social media is. I'm questioning, like, I keep questioning myself, like, hey, what defines a friend, right? Because I use the term friend in a politeful manner, like, even if I don't know the person, right? But like, hey, how you doing, my friend? Right? Just casually. But I also kind of hold um that term, like, what am I trying to articulate here? Like that one, it holds weight. So it's like, if you're my friend, it's because, like, you know at least like a good significant amount of my ins and out, like, not ins and outs, but like, just who I am, right? Dude. That's gonna be the new thing now, dude. Anytime I feel like I'm saying something stupid. uh but yeah, like, I keep questioning, like, all right, what really makes a friend a friend? Is it you know some of the, like, the more deeper moments you have, um you know, like adversities, like having disagreements and arguments and whatnot. So I don't know. I just feel like in this day and age now, um, like social media, with all the crazy accessibility you have with others, I just feel like we're also super, like, expendable. Is that the word? Expendable? Like, people just come and go so quick, you know? Whether intended or not. Like, if you don't interact with if you don't engage on someone's, content. I don't even want to say content, like just their photos or any of the posts, like, they're gone. You won't, the algorithm will do its thing and be like, oh, you haven't liked or comment or shared this person's post. Let's get them out of the wheelhouse. And it sucks because, like, just sometimes you miss it. Like, you'll miss something, and then you just, then the next thing you know, like, months go by, and like, oh man, like, what have you been up to? I haven't seen anything. Are you posting anymore? And then you check, it's like, oh shit, you've been posting all this time, but I never saw it. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like people, once they find indifferences, like, stuff that, or like disagreements, like, they easily cut you out, instead of, like, like, maybe there's some value here, or not value, but, like, there's learning. um you can learn things from these unfortunate situations. Like, I'm okay with being friends with people I disagree with on certain topics, but in this case, with the people I've been talking to, that wasn't the case. It's like, nah, like, we don't agree on some things, like, that's it. And funny enough, right? Because, I mean, I've been vocal about it on here multiple times, about, like, my struggles trying to find this core group of friends. And like, the last straw was pulled, and like, I just kind of, I decided, I actually want, I had a pot. I don't want, I had a recording. I did a recording after what had happened. And looking back, I guess it was just my way of processing everything. And just, I don't know, for some reason, being able to speak it, say it out loud, and like, not pretending, but like, just like imagining someone, that just to have like a listening ear. And I guess what this mic is great for. Like, when you have the mic in front of you, or I guess the camera, right? Like, you feel like you already have an audience. But yeah, anyway, I'm losing track again. Yes, I recorded a podcast, and it was me just processing my thoughts and feelings on like what had happened. And I was just very annoyed. Like, like I said, it was the last straw. And I was just like, what the fuck? And then and it was like funny because like through the rant, I was like, man, I sound like a crazy ex right now. And um and I had it saved for a while. I never put it up, and I debated for a while like if I wanted to put it up or not. And I talked about it with a couple of people. I discussed it with my wife. I talked to my boy Jerison and Luanda. Um and she was like, I don't know if you should post that. Obviously she hadn't heard it, but just like, I don't know if you pulled out, if you brought if you named names, and maybe somebody that does listen might be able to connect the dots and figure out who you're talking about. But I was pretty anonymous with it. Like, I try to be respectful of their privacy. But so she was like, I don't know, that could be real shaky. And then and then when I spoke to my friend Jerison, he's like, you know what? He's like, maybe put it out there because like so many people, believe it or not, are going through the same thing, and which is kind of true. Like I've had conversations with people about like, oh man, it's like it's so hard making new friends as an adult. So I was like, man, I'm like, maybe he's right. Um, but I just when it came, I wasn't proud how I appeared, honestly. Like it just I don't know. I feel like that at that moment, like that was a certain light. That was I just did not want to I didn't want anyone to see me in that particular light. There was something about that I just was not proud of. And just truly felt that it wasn't gonna help anyone. It wasn't gonna benefit anyone. So yeah, I canned it and just keep reflecting. And I'm like, all right, maybe it was good to do it just so I could process everything. But at the end of the day, not everyone really has to hear you fucking crying about it. So, you know, so now, I can look back at it and accept like the factors that, you know, made the shit go down the way it did. Um, but yeah, so it is what it is, right? Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I'm gonna say because it, I don't even. I'm sorry. I'm like struggling here because I'm looking at my notes and I'm uh, like I will say, I'll just say this, right? One of the other people that that had a building friendship with, uh, which ended up falling through, was one of my listeners, and I don't know if they're gonna hear this or not, right? Because yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't know if they're gonna hear this or not. So if they do, I'm sure I'll hear from them. But the last thing I'm gonna say is that even though it sucked, it was a good learning experience. Another great learning experience. It resulted me on just doing a lot of self reflecting. I was vocal on social media. I was kind of like, kind of just saying, hey, like just talking my shit, right? And then it was just the result was rather interesting because then like I was feeling a lot of self-doubt, like I was questioning myself. I was also, because society today is different, right? We all know that. I'm now using the term clown world, right? Because just the world is crazy right now. So I'm like, all right, is it them? Is it me? Is it both of us? What the fuck? So yeah, I've been doing a lot of reflecting, but after I posted on social media, everyone who was rallying behind me, rallying, right? They were backing me up, was everyone that has known me for years, like people who have known me from elementary school, high school, college, and I was like, yeah, you guys know me. Um, so I'm just kind of accepting. I'm just That's it. I'm just accepting the way things are now. And who's to say, what, maybe I'll cross paths or find myself talking to these people, the people that dumped me. Just saying that, I don't know. Now I'm like, oh, like maybe the audience is gonna think, oh, maybe there's something wrong with you, G. And you know what? I thought so too. But no more self-deprecating, no more self-loathing. I gotta love myself, right? Like that's one of the things we've been preaching for the last couple of years. Self-love, baby. So, that was one of the things that I don't know, that kind of what's the word? Sparked the idea of taking a break from podcasting. Um, but yeah, I would also add that pretty much the rest of the reasons uh of of taking a break, it was just content burnout, honestly, because you gotta think, right? If you are, I've talked about this before. I'm a one man team. I produce and edit everything. Director. Like I'm a one man show, a one man team, one man organization, whatever you want, however you want to phrase it. And yeah, it just gets fucking exhausting, right? I'm sure anyone catching this can agree. Like doing all these things is just like you will eventually burn out. And that's what was happening, particularly with the podcasts. This is actually kind of like a vicious cycle I've noticed, is that when I'm producing weekly podcasts, uh, a great portion of my week goes to editing. So, which then um, takes a huge chunk of my focus away from my artwork, right? Because like there are times where I'm like in my head, and I'm like, hey, don't forget you're a fucking artist, right? So I started noticing I hadn't been keeping up with my daily sketches. Like I like to do daily portrait sketches. I wasn't doing that anymore, and that's like a major red flag, if not the red flag. So I just started noticing, like, oh man, I've been less well, not even creatively productive, but I've been less artistically productive. So it's like that's a problem. So, and also going back to the podcast, when I do feature guests, like so much of my energy goes out, to like trying to promote them. And I know in the beginning, in the intro, I always say, like, I use it to help promote the guest. It's really a two-way thing. Like, I'm nobody, right? So I'm using my platform to help boost both of us. But the thing is, when you take that onto social media, right, you gotta, and it takes two to tango. So, you know, I've been keeping my eyes out on like who's actually um engaging with their audience on their own accounts, like like other, so yeah, I feel I feel I felt I was burning myself out focusing on not just the overall podcast, but also creating clips to keep that momentum going. I'm creating clips to keep uh marketing these guests, and just again, going back to like the focus. I felt I was just focusing focusing I was focusing so much uh on my guests that I felt I was neglecting myself. So I don't know, it's like, these are just all the things that are going on in my head. So I know if I'm wrong about it, I don't know, like that's just how I felt. So um whether it was right or wrong, correct or incorrect, that's just kind of how I felt at the moment. So I had to take that break. um and just like also the efforts, like I was finding myself chasing for guests, and you know I had to like put my foot down and tell myself, like, we're not doing that anymore. Like, sure, you put out the initial invitation and offer, and of course you try to be open minded and be like, hey, like whenever the time is right for you, because not everybody is ready for it, has ever done it before and all that. So just put that offer out, and then when they're ready, they're ready. And then for guests, um like recurring guests, same thing. Like I felt I was chasing for some of these people, and I'm like, this is, you know, cat and mouse. I'm kind of done playing that game. And I even had a discussion here where I was like, get comfortable doing more solo ones. Even like even if you're not gaining views, right? Because there's like that thing of like, you shouldn't worry about the numbers, right? But if you want to build an audience, you gotta worry about the numbers. But sometimes those numbers aren't true, right? I don't know if they're repeated viewers or they're bots. Sometimes I'll look at the insights and be like, let's say let's say, oh, cool, there's 15 views on this one podcast, and then I'll see the streaming time or the view time. It's like, you know 1 minute. It's like, oh, you barely, like, you only got to see the first half of the intro. unless unless they're using what do you call it, timestamps, right? So timestamps are great, you know uh but they kind of fuck with me a little bit. But anyway, burnout, it's really what it was. And you know I guess like, there has been a lot of hesitancy coming back, because I'm just thinking like, all right, like, is it sustenance? No. Is, like, yeah, or sustainability, right? I'm like, how sustainable is this podcast? You know, um, yeah, I'm just like, is this sustainable for me? Um, so a lot of questions are being drawn, and yes, but I will say, I'm a beatboxer now. So, I would try to think of some solutions to alleviate some of the weight on my shoulders for the podcast, because I already know the impact, the workload, my scheduling and everything. So I was like, all right, maybe again, get comfortable doing more solo podcasts, and don't even give a fuck about the views. Just keep doing your thing, especially like, because there are times where I'm like, do I need to put out a podcast this week? Like, I'm not doing enough out there right now experiencing life. So like, I got nothing to share. I got nothing to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just bitching about something. Um, but yeah, I so that being said, I also thought, well, maybe I won't worry about releasing an episode every week. Like, fuck it. If it's like a bi-weekly podcast, all right. Or just like, yeah, I don't know, just kind of like treat the schedule very loosely, because I have this tendency of like becoming very robotic with how I do things. Um, whether you want to call it programming, conditioning, like I get so used to like how I do things that I stay very rigid with it. And yeah, I was like, oh, all right, and also because like, all the other podcasts that I listen to, they got it's every week. But again, these are like, big names. Like these are popular podcasts. Um, and just me wanting to keep being able to push myself, try to keep up and stay accountable and all that. Like that shit was fucking with me. Because I'm like, hey, you gotta put one every week, man. Otherwise, you gotta. This is how it is. So I'm just, there's some personal rules I may have to break, or new ones to wiggle in. Um, so I think that's sort of those are like the possible solutions for this whole thing. Is like, all right, don't stress if you can't get a guest for this week or next week. Sit down, do it alone. If you got something to say, something you want to share, something, yeah, and or just like don't, just release a podcast when you got something, right? So yeah, I'm just trying to treat things a little more loosely. Um, but some of these takeaways though, I will say, right, to kind of wrap this section of the podcast, because I am gonna get into the local pop-up markets that I've been doing the last couple months. But I'd say the main takeaways from everything that I've been talking about so far is just no more wasting time, no more wasting energy chasing for these close friendships, right? Like there are a couple people that I do talk to pretty frequently. We hang out every now and then. Outside of the markets. So I'm just gonna, just like vibe with that and you know, just take it day by day. Um, Also distant friendships too, like because I find myself getting, kind of bummed out when, if I meet a new friend across the states, and clearly like we get along, but they're so distant. Like I don't know. I'm just like, as I've quoted um before on another podcast. I forget who says the quote, but I've been saying, tend to the part of the garden that you can touch. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just tending to the things that I can actually touch here, you know? And yeah. Um and so there's that. And actually, something I really want to point out is that it was so evident, so clear that once I had stopped focusing on the podcast, once I stopped podcasting, like my productivity increased. So it's just like, yeah, like it's so obvious. So, again, finding a way to, you know, find that balance again. And then yeah, I just gotta, yeah, yeah, just keep maintaining that balance somehow, with the podcasting and the artwork and the markets. Like things are getting, yeah, I don't know. Like when I really start sitting down and thinking about it, I'm like, oh, this is kind of a lot, you know. So yeah, I think the time management, as always, is one of the major key factors on being able to make this thing work. So I got to be very mindful on my time management. And those are my main takeaways. All right, where are we at here? About 34 minutes. Okay, okay. Um, so yeah, let's recap this past spring and summer. I mean, it's still summer, but you get it. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so April. Right? April was a rough start. All right. Uh, I had 3 weekends booked for events. I had first Friday Mood Market in Richmond. I think it was my first one, right? So it was my first time doing first Fridays with the Moon Market. It got canceled because of the weather. And I was like, all right, that stinks. But thankfully I was able to just switch weekends. They rebooked me for another date. And then there was the pop-up market at the Diamond Stadium. Uh that one that one was such a bummer, man, because these events for April, they're outdoor. So that's and the weather was still pretty shitty, spring. And that was the first event that pop-up market. It was the first time I had to actually pack up early because of how bad the weather was. Like it downpoured, it was windy as fuck. My whole tent actually blew almost blew away. But fortunately I had, my neighbors, other vendors like come in to to help me out, bring that shit back. But it's just like seeing other vendors deal with it too. Like you're always hearing like something falling, breaking, or whatever. And like everyone's on high alert anytime they hear something fall. Um, so yeah, that was the first time I had to pack up early, and I felt so defeated. Like that was like the most defeated I've ever felt as a vendor. And I've been doing this for like 10 years. And that's like something like that's something like when I'm talking to other local vendors here, like obviously they don't know me that well, so they're not aware that I've been doing this for a long time. So like it's so funny when I'm like asking these like basic questions, like they think I'm like a just like a fresh vendor. I'm like, no, like I've done this but back in Jersey. So um anyway, had to pack up early for that one. And then the following weekend, I was doing the pop up market again. Because actually, for those who don't know, pop up at the Diamond is a weekly a weekly market. for and it runs from is it yeah, is it April, from April to September, or is it October? No, to October, or is it November? I forget, but it runs all year, every weekend, which sounded great at first, right? When I was like fresh on the scene, but then doing some of them over time, I was like, this isn't like it only benefits me when I do a couple every now and then. I don't know how. I mean, it depends on who the vendor is, but as a visual artist, I don't know. It just has not. I don't know. It has not worked out as much as I hope. If I were to like show up majority of the every weekend or every other weekend. So yeah, I did the following weekend. I came back, and there was so it was so stressful because I'm like, fuck, now I got to make this money back, right? Because I paid for that table for that first pop up, and I had to pack up early and wrap that up. And you know, I don't even think I made money that that day. So that was, the whole thing, that money was lost. I had to make it back. Um, so the second time around, the weather was a little bit better, but it was still really windy and it was chilly as fuck. And Nicole, thankfully my wife, was she usually assists me at these events now, or because I used to do them by myself back in the day. So she's usually there to help me out. And we both had to like hold the tent down. We're just like holding the thing down. We're at the ends of the table because we just want to make sure the fucking tent doesn't fly away. Um, but like I don't know, like I had to make a firm, I had to make it a firm rule that's like, all right, if I can't book any indoor events in April, I'm not gonna do any markets. They have to be, they gotta be indoors. Otherwise, I gotta, because I gotta worry about my prints, especially if it's like raining and shit or it's windy. I gotta worry about my shit flying away, especially my prints. Uh, if I got frames up, like I don't want them falling and breaking. So there's a lot of things I gotta consider. So yeah, I think I made one sale when I came back to pop up. So again, April was not an ideal start of the season. But fortunately, May uh was a better experience. It had some ups and downs, but it was much better than how April had played out. They say, April showers bring May flowers. And you're gonna say May had its ups and downs, but June was great. June was phenomenal. And of course, we're gonna say, the weather. It was the weather. Um, I got silent in the background, just like walking around on my paper bags here. Um, so yeah, May, uh, although it had ups and downs, it did end on a positive note. So, um, what was the first? Oh, so I did. No, I did first Friday. That was it, right? The first Friday in April. Um, they assigned me for the May first Friday market, moon market, excuse me. Um, and that was, I gotta say, I was kind of nervous about that one. Again, just being in an outdoor event, and it was May, so even though the weather was like getting better, getting warmer, I was like, it could rain, it could still be windy. I don't know. Plus, like these first Friday events, they're at night. So this one was from 5 to 10. Um, and these are events that I have to do by myself because Nicole's still at work. And the event run time is 5 to 10, but for all these events, you gotta show up at least a couple hours early or an hour early, depending on your commute. But yeah, you gotta show up early to set up and everything. So I'm there from 3 to 10 or 11, really. If you include the breakdown and everything. So yeah, I wasn't sure what to anticipate. But the turnout was great. Like I exceeded my expectations. Um, just yeah, a lot of great interactions. Got to not only sell a lot of art, but like it's just sharing it to more of the to the community. But one thing did happen that I was not happy about, and that was at the end of the night, I found out I got a ticket. I got a parking ticket because I I made it was my fault, honestly. So I really shouldn't be that mad. But I parked at one of those like 2 hour parking signs, and I can't even, like, I'm trying to think now. Like, did I see the schedule on the sign? Like I just made the assumption like, all right, after 5 or after 6, it'll be free parking, right? It's only 2 hour parking during like the business hours. Uh but that was not the case. There was an actual schedule on that sign. And yeah, so I got the ticket. So I was like, damn, well. So yeah, at least I made money, and some of that money is gonna have to go towards that ticket. But all in all, like still, I'm not gonna let that take away from the actual event experience. It was awesome. It was a great time, and Nicole did end up actually showing up later that night to assist me. But I think moving forward, I'm gonna be doing those first Friday events alone. Because she's not a she, she likes her sleep, rightfully so. Mm. And then the following weekend was the oh my god, I gotta fucking shave. My mustache is tickling my nose. The following weekend was the Mother's Day moon market. Actually, I should say it was Mother's Day slash Psychic Saturday moon market. I know it's it's wordy, but that was the theme. Um, and that was another great turnout. I don't know what else I could really say. Besides that, I was generally happy to be doing these moon markets because that's what I've been very fortunate and grateful to have been accepted just about every time I apply for these events. So um yeah, I'm very grateful that shout out to Lauren who runs these events. You know, I'm grateful that she accepts my application because I do well at these markets. So Mother's Day was great. Um, and the next one was Arts on the Lawn. Now it's I've never done it before, and this is kind of funny because I try to create these sort of like rules for myself, and yet I tend to break them. But I had this, I have this rule that I should like visit these events and do a little investigative work, some recon, some grab some intel so I know what to expect, what to anticipate, what to prep for. But I did not do that for Arts on the Lawn. I kind of just jumped the gun, applied for it, paid for the space, went for it, and it was uh, it stunk because it was a beautiful day. Sun was out. Like it was just unquestionably perfect day to be out. But found out that there was another major event that was happening that same day. So, there was the foot traffic was very, very low. And any of the foot traffic we did had was actually well, actually I should have mentioned this. The venue for this event was at this sort of like retirement home. This huge uh what's the word I'm looking for? Not complex, but it was like this. It used to be like this old like rich man's house, right? That they turned into a retirement home. I don't know. I could be actually making this shit up right now, but anyway, huge property where you got all these wonderful vendors out on the lawn, right? Hence, Arts on the Lawn. So yeah, because it's a retirement home. The majority of the foot traffic we did have were those that were like the staff, like the workers or the residents. And there was some families coming through, with the kids and stuff. But yeah, I did not make a dollar. So I was really bummed out about that one. Now, and like I'll get into it later, but that one, much like the first pop up market in April, like that one hit me hard too. Like that one fucked up my whole mood like the next couple of days. Um, so yeah, there was that. And then gratefully, well, fortunately rather, the last event that I had booked was the Charlottesville Arts Festival in Charlottesville. Dude. Again, forgive me. It's been 2 months. Um, so yeah, now we've done Charlottesville multiple times. We've done multiple festivals with them. Uh, you know, and we've always been successful with them. So I had, you know, there was like some confidence there that I was like, all right, you know, however well we do in Charlottesville, it's gonna be better than Arts on the Lawn. And but then there's always that little like that hint of doubt of like, how like are we gonna do as well as we did last time we were here? Who knows? Um, but yeah, I will say, because it's like it, it's always different every time. And it's when it comes to like full weekend events, sometimes one day is better than the other, one day slower or than the other. So in this case, day one was such a blast. And we did so well. Like we made, we made everything back. Like all of the money that was invested, and that was, the residuals, even made profit. So like I, you know, met the expectations, I guess, and probably exceeded it a little bit. Just because just the way how that one day came out. I'm like, shit, we got day two still. But day two was comparatively slower. And I think it was probably just because of the weather, because it did show on the weather app that we were expecting some overcast, I think a little bit of light rain or at some point during the day. So I just think the people that were gonna, you know, come back or just, come check it out were probably just preparing for the weather. Really, it's like, we'll come visit day one, but day two we'll pass because we're already there, and it might rain, blah blah blah. So I think that's what the case was. But even still, I really can't. I shouldn't be fretting on it because like we did so well, regardless. But that was the case. So yeah, May ended yeah, pretty well. So and then um June so far has been the best in terms of of all the events I've been doing. Um yeah, June was great. Uh did I only do three? Yeah, I did. So I did three events, but one of them was a festival. Um, so I did another First Friday for June. And I'm gonna say this now, going forward, like I'm gonna try to get it. Like, I guess this is the part of like my, I don't want to say job, but like this is how I make my money is at these markets. So like I want to just take this time and say thank you to everyone who does come out, um, just to show support, whether you're buying or not, just showing up and visiting, um, my table. I'll speak for others too. Like when you come visit us and check out our work, like, sure, making a sale would be great, but just taking that time to look at our work. Like we really we hold that, you know, dearly to our hearts. Um so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, June first Friday moon market. I did not get a parking ticket this time. Actually, yes. So I'm such an idiot. Um, real quick, right? Like if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, you know, check out some of my other content, especially my vlogs, because I did do a vlog of this first Friday event. And if you're listening and you haven't seen it, please check it out on YouTube. Uh, so yeah, I documented this one because the first time I think I just got a little overwhelmed with just you know it was just it being my first time doing First Fridays, and I was just so focused on preparing and everything that I didn't make the time to capture footage and you know make it a fun vlog to put together. So I was like, all right, I gotta do this one, especially talking like complaining about the ticket I got the first time. So even though I did this one completely by myself, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to document this. If it sucks, like people are gonna know why. Like it's, like I'm doing this whole thing by myself. Um, so yeah, because like I wanna like when I do these vlogs, like I love capturing, those moments of the interactions because there's so many it creates so many great stories and anyway, so there was a couple of great moments in that vlog for the first Friday. I think you'll check it out. Check it out. Um oh okay, so so I'm looking over my notes because again I've written elaborate notes. But I'm not. So I didn't get the ticket. I didn't get a ticket this time. But I also did not make as much that time, which is fine. Like whatever. That's just my the business side of me. Like we didn't do better this time. We gotta make sure we keep doing better every time we come back. Anyway, but like still, First Friday was still a success. And then the following weekend was Fae Festival. We're back in Charlottesville, and I documented this one because it was my first Fae Fest ever, like Fae related event. Uh, it had been recommended to us from other vendors. Um, so I'm like, all right, we'll try it. Like, I don't have any, like, I don't have a lot of Fae related art. But I mean, hey, I'll just do some fan art, pop art. People fucking love mushrooms and shit. So I did a couple of paintings of mushrooms. But yeah, there was a lot going on that weekend. Because also fit on that Saturday was June 10th. There was like this global event that was going down, which is called Game of Shrooms. I can't remember if I talked about that before. I'm pretty sure I have actually. But Game of Shrooms was happening. And what Game of Shrooms is like this global event where artists will create something mushroom related and they put it out there out in the wild for people to do like it's like a scavenger hunt. It's a global scavenger hunt for mushroom art. And yeah, so on this particular day, people would go out and search for anything. For it could be from like little sculptures or I did a painting, the apparel, like anything. And it's really cool because there's like this you go on to the organizer's website and there's like some rules and stuff. And but anyone and everyone that is partaking on this event, they pin themselves on the map so that like if you visit the website you can see how many people are partaking in the game of shrooms in your area. And it's pretty wild. Like you look on the map and you see all these little mushroom icons and you like zoom in and just see like, oh shit, like this mushroom's like right by my house, whatever. So it was really fun. I teamed up with my homegirl Mary Twist of Twisted Dyes. She's been on the podcast before.
I've done 2 bed sets. I've done a tapestry, mostly shirts, and I've done some like onesies and stuff too.
We'll put the picture right here. So yeah, we went together and made the drop off together, and it was fun. But yeah, the overall result in the Fae Festival was, of course, I gotta say, like Charlottesville has not disappointed, you know. So shout out to people in Charlottesville, even though there's some other unfortunate, I'm not even talking about it. If you know, you know. But I will say the people absolutely support and invest in local art. So that's why I preach a lot about Charlottesville. And I also did a vlog for that event. So you can check that out too. And like truly, it was such a fun event. And power to the people that dressed up, because there was a lot of people in costumes. And just the volunteers too that volunteered to they would just kind of walk around the area and check up on the vendors, see if they needed any help. So that's awesome. Like there were elements of Charlottesville, these events. There's elements of it that kind of remind me of when we would do the Trenton punk rock flea markets. So that was nice. But yeah, power to the people that dressed up. There was like this one dude that was just covered in all like hair, like I don't know what to call him, like not a troll, but it was just like it was cool. Again, just check out the vlog on YouTube. It's awesome. But yeah, I keep saying power to them because it was fucking hot, man. We were in the sun, and thankfully we had our tent. But yeah, I really, I gotta really give credit to the ones that dressed up and stayed in character and wore the stuff that they wore for their costume, especially the guy that was dressed up in fur. But yeah, that was a really, really fun event. And also, like, the one thing I love doing for these festivals in Charlottesville is that I always volunteer to demo at those events. Like I volunteer to do demos at my table throughout the day, throughout the weekend. And it's just it's just fun. It's fun. I enjoy doing that. And it creates great conversations with the attendees and stuff. And sometimes Nicole be like, "Oh, they're watching you right now." I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm trying not to fuck up." Because I do find a lot of discomfort when I have eyes looking over my shoulder while I'm working. Starts creating anxiety. But as long as I'm inspiring them, that's cool. But yes, Fae Fest was awesome. Hey, there was one particular interaction I had with this young kid, and he's an aspiring writer. So just to play it safe, I'm gonna say they. Okay, I don't know. But yeah, this young kid is writing a book and needed an artist, cover artist, and they were very I don't know, they kind of came off a bit eager, a little what else? Bad at words. But persistent, I don't know, like so they were asking like my prices, my rates, and the question, good questions. But it was like it's just I don't know. I was like repeating myself a lot and just trying to get into the kid's head that like it's hard to come up with a flat rate when you don't have all the details. So I kept emphasizing, like, it really depends. Like the starting rate would be this, but depending on what the particulars that you need, like it most likely will go up, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Blah, 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 blah. So, but the thing that really struck my attention was that they had a concept, especially for their main character, the protagonist, and they used I guess Mid Journey, maybe. I don't know. There's so many apps, but I'm assuming they may have used Mid Journey, and they created AI art of their character, which I'm not gonna get on their shit about it. Like they're super young. Like this kid seemed like either 12 or 13. Like they seemed very young, but because of our technology, kids act like fucking adults now. It's mind blowing because that was the thing. Like the way how approachable, like how forthcoming this kid was. Like I was like, oh wow, okay. Like they're just like, I don't know. Like they just really came up and just they were not shy. I don't know. Like they didn't act like a typical kid would act, and from what I'm used to, I'm not used to having a 12-year-old. I mean, I don't know if they're 12, but I'm not used to having this like appearing 12-year-old having like this collaboration proposal. Like what the fuck? But anyway, so it was interesting. And but they pulled up the AI art, and I was like, oh, well, you used a little AI there, huh, buddy. But it's fine. But yeah, what else do I gotta say about that? I don't know. Again, I'm just gonna repeat. Check out the vlog. It was a lot of fun. I'll say it's more entertaining than the first Friday one. Um, and then the last event that I did was you guessed it, if you did guess, the moon market. I did another moon market. And I gotta say, it feels a little cringe to say it, but I feel like I got promoted in the sense that because prior to doing this one, where I was stationed at on the venue, I was like towards the back, which is fine. So I'm not complaining, but it was, so after doing a few events with Moon Market being in like the same vicinity, then this time I was right up front, right by the entrance. So I was like, oh, this kind of feels like a promotion because now like people are gonna immediately see me once they walk in. And the beauty of like how the layout is that to get through the entire market, you're gonna see me twice, basically. Like if you peruse and walk through the whole market and see every vendor, you're gonna see me twice. So that was nice. And yeah, it was again another awesome turnout. Um, you know, I wanted to do another vlog, but it just there's so much that to edit at that time. Like by this time, I hadn't put together the first Friday vlog or the Fae Fest. So I was like, man, I don't want to like, do like a month of editing. I didn't want to like do a shit ton of vlog work. But yeah, I got to, it was awesome. There were a couple of artists that I finally got to meet in person. There were people that I was, we've been following each other for a while on social media, and we had kept talking about getting together for a drink or a meal, doing the whole double date thing. But the opportunity never really presented itself until at this point, they came out and got to see me at my table. Now, Nicole wasn't there assisting me because her mom was visiting. So I was running this one by myself. But yeah, it was just really nice to finally meet them in person and you know and just talk to them. Don't get me wrong, social media is great. But man, I just love, you know, that's where the true connection happens for me is like being able to be able to see you and talk to you, not just everything being done through DMs and comments and stuff. Like I need some real human interaction. So again, it was awesome seeing them in person. Um there was one customer, and oh, I want to give them. I really want to shout them out because the the enthusiasm, the excitement this man had, it was just like it was honestly it was like kind of overwhelming for me, but in a good way. They were just so excited to see my work. Like they've never seen me before, like they've never bought from me, they don't follow me, or they hadn't prior to the event. So um yeah, this dude was just so excited and just like going through. Sean Phillips, shout out to Sean Phillips, man, because like seriously, like I was I was just so touched. And also because like we were essentially he was nerding out to the stuff that like I nerd out to. Like, this dude like he bought some like the stuff like that I thought was never gonna sell. Like he was catching the references in my work, and like the source it was coming from. Like he knew what was up in my art, especially like my fan art. um and yeah, he was just so excited flipping through everything. And he was like, he had his partner with him and a friend. And so he's like, like, oh, this is this is from this game and that show. And it was just so nice. Like, so again, I was just truly touched. And yeah, like they had me take a picture with the because like one of the purchases he made was this original illustration I made of the OG Mad Max played by Mel Gibson. And I didn't, like it never sold, right? Up until this point, because someone actually recognized that it was Mel Gibson as Mad Max. So I blanked out there. But he recognized like who he was. And so they had me take a picture with that illustration, and he had me sign it. So I was like, wow. It's like it's super rare that I get asked to sign prints or anything. So I was again just very touched, super grateful. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. What else? Yeah, the last thing I'm gonna say about Moon Market, because I know I just keep talking about Moon Market, but I mean, reality is they're the ones that are helping me out. And that being said, I feel like the Moon Market, and I told Lauren this. I was like, this kind of feels like my home now, because that was my whole thing throughout this journey living here in RVA, is that like I'm trying to find those events that I can, that I know I will do well. That was my case in Jersey. Like I knew that Trenton was the area that I uh succeeded. Is that a word? That was the area that I was always successful at, because I would do their punk rock flea markets. They also had this event called Art All Night, Art All Day. So they were always putting together these wonderful events. And yeah, that kind of felt like my air. That was like my hood, that was my hood. No, but that was like the area I knew I was gonna be able to flourish. Um, and there were other local uh flea markets that I was doing, in the northern area of Jersey that we did well too. But yeah, Moon Market, if this run continues, like yeah. I don't want to make any strong claims. I mean, even though I already told Lauren that like this feels like my home, because it does, but I'm afraid I'm gonna jinx, the future. But whatever, like Moon Market feels like my home now. I'm still trying to branch out and try to get accepted at these other markets, but I don't know. Like I hate to feel sour about it, but it's been tougher with some of these other organizers, and it's becoming more and more discouraging to even apply. So I don't know. I've heard from other vendors that like it, for some it had required them to, walk up to the organizer personally and, just kind of have a discussion, I guess, or whatever. Like it involved having an actual interaction with the host in order for them to get on to the next market. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say, right? Regarding June, like June was awesome, and you know, it's July now, and I've got my events booked for this month. I got 4 events booked. Uh, yeah, I'll make sure I throw in the flyer at the beginning or end of this podcast, whatever. Like if you follow me on social media, you're gonna know when and where I'll be. But yeah, June was great. June was great. Um, trying to think of let's see, some takeaways from that. So yeah, next year in April, no outdoor events. Right. Also, kind of regarding being accepted to other markets, like I gotta also just pay attention to the ones that really focus on supporting fine artists and illustrators like myself, because I feel like I'm trashing this part of the community, but like it's very evident that when it comes to these pop-up markets, the makers, as they call themselves, there's so many of them. So I feel like, I'm not saying that Richmond doesn't support local artists. I mean, they do, but when it comes to the markets, there are so many like crafters and makers, and I'm just speaking from my own point of view. Like it's kind of repetitive, and I believe that a lot of the attendees, a lot of the people that support these local businesses, like that's what they tend to favor. So I'm trying to really hone in on the markets that are known to have more than handful of visual artists. Because there's one that I'm doing this month that I've never done before. I visited one of their events once. I gotta make sure to swing by these other ones just to get a feel of it. But I've noticed it's like the majority of it is just again, crafters and makers. I'm trying to pluck out the, you know, the actual like visual artists, and if I see them, I'm just gonna pick their brain about like, all right, where are some other good areas? Like I've had some guests on, I've had some local guests on the podcast, and they've provided a list of some spots, whether it's their events or just what's the word I'm looking for? Um consignment shops, or like just like other like galleries and stuff like that. So like, I got to get back on that gallery scene, to be honest. So that's something I got to also tweak my focus on. But yeah, just we gotta be a little more uh you know aware and focused art on the art. Oh, and something also, when it comes to these, especially the outdoor events, right? Because a lot of them are dog friendly. So people be coming in with the dogs. And there was one incident that happened at, I forget which pop-up market, but there was a couple that came up uh at my table, and they had a dog. I don't I'm not good with breeds. But it was a good sizable dog. But the dog, for whatever reason, got like excited and like jumped on my table, like not on all fours on my table, but like it stood up on my table, and it scratched my portfolio, because I always lay out my portfolios, and it tore up the page at the time. I and the woman was very kind to offer to pay for any damages. And when I was looking at it, I only noticed the damage done to the sleeve, the page, but it did damage, the dog did damage the print that was in there. But I was just, at the time, I don't know, I guess I was just like, no, don't worry about it. It doesn't look like it's damaged, so it's fine. But I will say I got to be more aware of when there are, you know, dogs around that are that are capable of doing what that dog did. Cause that shit, like, I mean, not only did he kind of damage my portfolio, but he like rocked my whole shit. So I was like, oh shit, my frames are falling, so I gotta be a little more aware. And also, my last takeaway is that I gotta keep believing in myself. Because that's the thing. When I have like these defeats, I can't keep calling them defeats. But if I'm taking an L, or not meeting my goals, not making money back, or any of that stuff, right? If I'm not having a good turnout at these events, I gotta try not to get my voice got so high. I gotta I gotta try not to get so wound up and so emotional. I gotta try to catch myself in those moments, because the reason why, I've thought about this for a while, and it really came down to like the reason why I get so um like I get so messed up from these like type of results, is that like, again, like, I'm not trying to toot my horn or anything, but again, like, I've been doing this for for 10 years. But the fact that here I am, still networking, still trying to expand and get my name out there, uh in this new city, this new state, like, just having to restart my business, essentially. Like, I just never anticipated how much, um, not how much work, but just like, just how hard it was, how difficult it was going to be, like, emotionally and mentally. And just like, it's not just grind, right? It's just like accepting, these turnouts. Because like when I do have these great moments with the crowd, especially like, with the people that are visiting, um, like it's like fuck, like yeah, like I'm good at what I do. These people are telling me that themselves. So I was like, fuck, I gotta remember that. Like I'm good at what I do, whether they buy it or not. People love seeing my work. So I really gotta kind of like take it with a grain of salt and remember that yes, like I am good at what I do. If I don't, if for whatever reasons people aren't driven enough to buy my art or anything, it's like you know it's it's not my fault. Like it's not anyone's fault. There are so many preferences that people have. So like there are so many of these things I have to like, I gotta digress from how I initially want to feel and react, digress from that and just be like, look, you're in a whole new situation here. Well, not whole new situation, but it's like, you're here, like you're still building back up, but when people do see your work, they love it. Um and I just gotta try to digress from like this. I don't know. I feel like a volcano. I don't know. Like, I get so pent up. Um, but also too, like when I do take these, if I take any L's, I'm always comparing. I'm always comparing how things were pre-COVID. You know, um, so like I'm always comparing to like however much I make at an event, like you know, is that is that beating what I was making regularly in Jersey? Like that's what my brain does. So I'm always like comparing, you know, financially how things are going, pre-COVID. So I gotta stop doing that and just, you know, I just gotta stop doing that. So that's all. That's all I'm gonna say. Where we at here? About 90 minutes almost. So, figured with all this talk about the events the last 2 months, um, I know I've done this before, perhaps with a guest, but I'm just gonna do it again now here for you guys that's tuning in. Um, I want to share some helpful tips in case anyone here is a new vendor, you know, like maybe you've been an artist, you've been creating things uh for a majority of your life, if not all your life, but you've never put yourself out there to try to sell it during any type of market event. So, just some key things I want to share is that any event that you are interested on, be sure to follow them on social media, of course, and also you know keep your eye out on their content. Right, take mental notes in terms of how well they promote their events, their upcoming events, their vendors. Like do they share do they share the turnouts of their events? Are they sharing because there's organizers will tend to do like a live stream of the event as it's going on. They'll do a tour, or they just post photos in their on their page or in the stories, like they're just sharing content of the event as it's going on, right? So like keep an eye out for that, because if they're when you got people, when you have organizers that are really marketing their events, like that's a great sign. It guarantees solid good foot traffic, and also what are some obvious? Oh, invest on have a table, 6 foot table, a tent, maybe tent walls, especially for if you got some you know, any what's the word I'm looking for? For like weather conditions. Um Weights. You want to get some weights for your tent. If you're selling, I will say if you're selling wall art, whether it's just like original paintings or prints or anything like that, I would recommend having some sort of rack or like grid walls. Okay. Like all this shit you can just like get on Amazon, right? I think that's a no-brainer. And then what else? I think there's a couple more, sorry. Uh oh yeah, like I was talking about before with one of my rules, visit the events. Before you apply, especially let me elaborate too. The events that are like regular events, like they pop up every weekend, or maybe they do two, every 2 weeks they'll have an event. Like those like regular frequent events, I would definitely visit. It's kind of hard to do that when it comes to the like the yearly events, which was the case with for me when I did the arts on the lawn. That's like a yearly thing. So, obviously in hindsight, I should have attended one first to see, how how it is, and then apply for next year. So I would, so there's that. Like if there's like an event that you want to do that's like a regular event, definitely check them out, visit a couple times. Um and yeah, and like in of course like network with the vendors there, especially the ones that are sort of similar to your aesthetic. And so that way you can see, what can I do that they do that'll benefit me, but also what's something that I could do differently that they do that may also benefit me. All right. I think that's very important. Um, and then what else? Let's see here in my notes. Oh, if booked, check for other major events that may attract more attendees. Um, Oh, okay. I'm like, what the fuck? So this is kind of referencing Arts on a Lawn because of the way it turned out. So yeah, when you are booked for something, especially if it's your first time, I would definitely try to seek out other events that will also be happening at the same time, because that's again, especially if it's like a popular one, it's guaranteed gonna greatly affect the foot traffic. So yeah, those are the pointers I wanted to share with anyone that is considering becoming a vendor for any type of event. All right. Um, and then that's it. Wow, 90 minutes. Okay. uh I promise you, like as I keep doing more, like the more reps I do, I promise I'll be a little more polished. Um, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm a liar. I do want to end this episode on an inspiring note, right? Because that's again, if you're new here, I try to end each podcast with something inspiring, something positive, whether it's a quote or just a thought, or something I saw, whatever, anything that will inspire you guys. It's in this case, it's not a quote, it's actually a video clip I want to share. It was like this interview with a basketball player, I believe. I don't know his name. I don't really follow any team sports, but I felt that this one resonated with me so much because the way, just because how I was feeling, reflecting you know on how the events in April, and even May, how like those like negative turnouts were. Like so sorry guys. So I'm gonna play this clip, and yeah, I hope this resonates with you as well. Maybe not in a way that it resonated with me. Maybe this will still apply to you in other ways. So let me play this clip.
Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay. Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me. There's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful, some days you're not. Some days it's your turn, some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about.
It's bars, as some people would say. What that gentleman said was bars. But yeah, I hope that resonates with you as much as it did for me. And yeah. So that's how I like to close my podcast, with some positivity. And lastly, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay driven. All right. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
What do you mean? Who's him? You.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that just means you're just
Thank you.
that guy. You do.
I guess I am.